The edge of fraud. This is another funny subject, but it is actually true. Only the general public is not aware of it. In today's society, there is very little truth. Most of the time, fraudulent means are openly used, a greater or lesser extent. Let me describe some of them now. As usual, the first one is medicine. As you can see from the advertisements in the daily newspapers, the majority of advertisements are for medicines. Since it is worth paying such huge advertising fees, we can see how well they sell. The amount of medicine that people take nowadays is very large. For example, it may seem that this medicine will cure a certain disease or prevent the onset of a certain disease, or that it will increase blood and increase flesh, or that it will have some other wonderful effect. However, all of them are deceitful means to sell the product. The reason is that the authorities do not care whether the drug works or not. The authorities do not care whether a drug works or not, as long as it doesn't cause any harm. They will allow it. This is suspicious because the drug dealers must have been well aware of this fact. Truth. Everyone knows that the efficacy of medicines has always been exaggerated. In all fairness, this is also a kind of fraudulent act. In addition, they take advantage of people's weakness and use them to make money. So it is difficult to forgive their crimes. Next is medicine, which is also very different, only the world is not aware of it. For example, they reassure their patients by saying that your disease will be cured after a week of treatment, or that you will feel better after a number of injections, or if you have this surgery, or if you continue with this medicine. If I were to express this as a percentage, the results would be surprising. Therefore, it can be said that this is a fraud with good intentions. Therefore, it would be true to say, I can't tell you for sure because I don't know your disease. However, I think this is unavoidable because the patients are the ones with a good face, and I can only imagine how difficult it must be for the doctors. I have also heard of cases where a patient is not cured after one surgery, but after 2 or 3, or even after a week in the hospital, and in the worst cases, after a week in the hospital, the patient is not cured. In these cases, the patient pays a large amount of money for hospitalization, and after suffering for a long time, the disease becomes worse than when the patient was hospitalized, and in the end, the patient is either discharged or dies. Today, such things are done openly and without any suspicion whatsoever, which makes for a frightening world. However, in such cases, doctors are very good at escaping. They say that you have an abnormal constitution, that they were too late, that it is a very malignant disease, or that it is a disease that only occurs in one person in 10,000. There are some conscientious doctors who say that they were wrong, but these are very rare. Next, on the political front, it is customary for government pledges and campaign speeches by candidates to be forgotten after they have been pledged to the people and the electorate with no responsibility whatsoever. Political parties also talk about being the nation's first priority, but in fact, they are the party's first priority, and their right or wrong policy depends on their own convenience and often goes up in smoke. In addition, it is a matter of course that the samples of commercial and industrial companies differ from the actual products, and there is no limit to the number of non-delivery of bills. As you can see, there is hardly any honesty and clarity in the world today. Another surprising thing is that there is also fraud in religion. For example, there are religions that tell you how much money you should give to be cured of your illness. However, even if you follow the instructions, you will not be cured and may even die. So this is a great fraud using the name of God. On the other hand, if you believe in something before it is beneficial, you will not be cured, and if you run away from it because you don't have enough faith, it is not strictly speaking a fraud. In this way, it can be said that the world today is not completely devoid of truth, but it is in a very disarrayed state. Fair lying and deceitfulness is almost the norm. It is a world of darkness. It is our mission to change this dark world into a brighter one. And that is why the world calls us Ohikari-sama, the lightning, the Star lightning, the Star lighting.